shake like no one's business. Morning, everyone. Just got behind the wheel, driving the Crown Vic today. Currently on Charles Street. I will apologize in advance because the mount that I have for my phone in this car is not the greatest, and it is going to be bouncing all over the place. So I do apologize in advance, and hopefully it's not completely awful, but it probably will be as a just heads up. I did my best to brace it against the dash, but the part where the phone actually is currently sitting is off the dash, so it's probably not going to help that much, but when I get up here closer to Johns Hopkins where I can pull off, I'm going to try and readjust this so it's not bouncing as bad. If not, just going to have to suck it up. Pull over just down here and try and fix this. try and readjust this so we aren't bouncing all over the place. See how that is. Hopefully that's bearable. Alright. Let's see how that is. It's probably still bad, but it doesn't seem to be bouncing as bad. It's not angled where I want it to be, but it'll do. And red light. Alright, let's try that. That's a little better. That way people can see traffic lights. That Equinox's front end is smashed. Wish I could show you it right now, but sky to my left. I tell you, I've never seen this stretch of Charles Street this empty on a weekday during rush hour. It's just insane. Coming up here to University Parkway. Starting to get a couple people in here today, or this morning. For those of you that are just joining, I'm currently driving the Crown Vic. Well, I love this car, even though it's pretty basic here on the inside. Didn't buy it for that. Bought it because of the engine under the hood. Big old V8. It's one of the longer lights to deal with on this. When there's no traffic, it makes it even worse. There's always one. Oh, interesting. This is on flash. Don't mind if I do. No, I recognize that Audi ahead of us. If it's the one I'm thinking of, he's caught him a couple times in previous videos where he doesn't signal. He turns off. And that guy right there just ran the red light. That's sedan right there. I don't blame him though, because there's like no traffic. Oh wow, he's actually going to signal today. Or she, I don't even know who's driving it. It may not even be those same Audi. Either that or they're just signaling because it's a Crown Vic behind them. Tell you one way that you can tell that gas prices have gotten cheap is that this station right here is almost under $2. The station's always ridiculously priced. As you can see, Super is still almost $3, and it's almost a whole dollar more to get Super than it is to get regular at this station. That guy just failed to move over. So did the Subaru behind me. Just as a friendly reminder, when you approach, essentially down the state of Maryland, once you approach any vehicle such as that are displaying flashing yellow lights, you have to move over to the lane not immediately adjacent to where that vehicle is parked. And if you can't move over because you're either on like a 2-lane road or there's a car right next to you, you're required to slow down. But in that case, since that Mercedes had more than enough space to move over, he should have moved over. But he didn't. Let's take a little detour. Instead of taking Charles all the way out. Cut through downtown Towson, take you through the wonderful, I use that in a sarcastic manner, the wonderful Towson Circle. Back when Mama MD used to work for Baltimore County, she was in charge of the traffic unit for the Towson precinct for a little bit, and when she was in charge over here, she said that they used to get at least one crash a day at that circle. To be honest, that circle's very, very poorly designed. It could be way better designed, but because of how weird that intersection is, it's probably the best that they can do, because 5 roads intersect right there. And so they, instead of making like really weird looking traffic light or anything like that, they did a big oval traffic circle that people just always seem to mess up, and it's actually not that hard. Once you've gone through it at least once, you kind of get a lay, or you know the layout of it. But people are impatient and they'll race by you and cut you off and just blow through the yields and all that. understand why people have such a hard time running in the roads. That have such a hard time running on the sidewalk. I never understood that. They'll run in the flow of traffic and risk getting hit by a car instead of running up on the sidewalk where that risk is diminished by a lot. Come on, dude. Alright, so we're coming up on the wonderful Towson Circle that's actually also under construction at the same time. Now, right now, because traffic is so light, things aren't really that bad. But as we can see, this is a pretty weirdly designed circle, roundabout, whatever you want to call it. When traffic's normal, that's always a mess. But as you can see, there's like no one on the road. Which is just weird. Because this is York Road, which is one of the main thoroughfares in the area. And this is just empty. About to merge on the 695. Time to see how empty it is. This car just loves to do that all day long. just still can't get over how empty everything is. So right now it's 7:40 on a weekday, and this is just open there's like it's not. Usually everyone will be crawling through here, and everyone will continue to crawl all the way until you're well past the JFX. I feel like I'm the pace car right now. No one's willing to pass. Well, there we go. Some people are starting to know. something went wrong. For those of you that are just tuning in, I'm currently going north on Ricerstown Road in Owens Mills. Just got off of 695. I guess this is probably technically Pikesville. I don't know where the exact line is. It might even be considered Garrison, really. This area is also built up. It's like hard to tell where the lines are anymore. Jeep making last second dash there. Usually this stretch of 140 is all backed up going southbound, like way past this coming light. In fact, oftentimes I get clips up here at this next light of people using the oncoming left turn lane to pass traffic so they can make the left at that next light. The truck just went on the oncoming lane here for a second. They just love putting all types of steel plating down there. Here's the Terry's Tag and Title where I got this registered. I don't know if any of you guys are watching know, but back when I first bought this Crown Victoria, I bought it at auction. It's a retired police car. Bought it from a local town, and after I won it, it was pretty much just a complete nightmare to get this thing registered and tagged and everything. So what started it all off is that the day I won it, I called up City Hall to schedule when to come pick it up. They told me to come in. They had the title at City Hall. I would go in, sign paperwork. Then I would go over to the station to go pick up the car. So that Monday, I get an email saying that the person that I would go get the keys from was going to be in a meeting at that time, but they didn't say anything that they actually had the title. So I go to City Hall, go get the title work and everything like that. Mama MD came with me. We get in there. They're like, "Oh, did they tell you to come over here?" And we're like, "No, I thought I had to come over here to get the title." And they're like, "Oh, no, they have that over at the station." So we're like, "Oh, okay." So called the station, set up when I could pick up the car. Since we had the VIN number from the auction website and things along those lines, we decided, let's go put insurance on it since we're over here and our insurance agency is in that town. So we go over. We get there, they're closed because the power's out on that side of town. So we're like, well, I guess we're not getting anything done that day. So the next day comes around, I go in, get the paperwork, get the keys. I head over to the Terry's Tag and Title in that area, and they tell me they can't register the car because there was a mystery lien listed to the title that no one knows where it came from. We called up the police station, talked to them. They had no idea. They were like, "What do you mean there's a lien? We buy our cars outright." And we're looking at the title, and sure enough, there's a lien listed on there. No one seems to know where the lien came from. So we then end up having to the city that we bought the car from ended up having to contact the bank. The bank was even like, "We don't know what you guys are talking about. We have no record of a loan for this car." And no one knew where the loan came from in this lien. So after about a month, the bank finally sent us a signed affidavit saying that there was no loan, don't know where the lien came from, and everything along those lines. And even then, the MVA was hesitant about issuing the new title and everything because when you buy a car that has a lien on it, MBA requires that you have the loan number, the lien release, and all this other information that we didn't have because there was never a loan ever taken out on the car. But they finally went ahead and processed it. We got the car tagged and everything. A few days later, they called me up and they asked if I wanted the old service records. So I go and get the well, my mama MD actually stopped in and got those records for me since she was on her way home, and they gave her the service records, and sure enough, guess what was right there on top? A lien release signed back in 2011 or something like that. So for over a month, I was fighting to get the car registered because they didn't have a lien release for this lien that shouldn't have been even on the title to begin with, and they had a lien release the entire time. So that was fun. And hello to whoever just saw or commented. Sorry, I didn't see your username. But yeah, that was a whole to do, and I just can't help but laugh at it now because it was just funny. And if you don't laugh at it, it's just gonna make you mad. So I just laugh at it instead of get mad at it. But so far, this has actually been a really good car. Usually when you buy, especially when you buy a car at auction, and especially when you buy a used police car, you never know what you're gonna get because these things are beat the snot. They are not driven lightly, and pretty much when you get them, they're just worn out. This one, haven't had any issues. In fact, when I had the car inspected to get the registration and everything like that, the only thing that they nicked me for were sway bar links, which was only like $200, and they did it the very next day. So everything got said and done with this and all that. But currently 4 miles away from hitting 109,000. I've put 8,000 miles on, or no, 7,000 miles on this since I bought it. When I got it, I do believe this car is definitely going to need a transmission rebuilt sometime in the future, though. Although since I've owned it and have been driving it more on a regular basis, it feels like it's actually worked itself, like all the kinks out itself. Once in a while it'll still act up, but when I first got it, it actually grinded gears a little bit. But now it shifts fine, so I'm not entirely sure what that was going on or what was going on there, but it probably had something to do with that. It just sat for so long because, like, when I picked this car up, it was deader than a doornail. When I put the key in to turn the ignition, it didn't even chime. It was just dead. And I actually tried one of those little jumpstart packs that they've been selling and stuff, and I tried that, and sure enough, it turned this old V8 right over and brought this thing back to life. And it did it not just once, but twice. Because the battery that was in it was actually, from what I could tell, the original from 2007 when this car was bought, and apparently it had never been replaced. If I read the sticker right, I could have read it wrong. So I would take that with a grain of salt. But But yeah, that little jump starter, I mean, it turned this thing right over. And it was funny because when I first started this, the car didn't really know what it was doing at that point. None of the gauges worked for like a good minute while the car refigured out what it needed to do. But I tell you, apparently I got a good car apparently. So photographer looked like. One thing I did notice about this car too is that I believe the valve cover on the passenger side. So what? I think that's a bank one. I think, not entirely sure. I forget how everything's set up. I believe that's leaking oil out the top. So sometimes I'll get a smell of burning oil, and it smells like it's coming from that side. But so that'll probably be a DIY that I'll do eventually. That's not that hard to do. It's actually really easy from what I saw. The only thing I might get hung up on is I think you have to move some of the fuel lines or a coolant line. I can't remember, but that's not that bad compared to the Aztec. I love the Aztec to death. It's my first car. Plan on keeping. Hopefully, I plan on keeping that for as long as I can. But that car's dying a slow death because of rust. But that thing is not easy to work on. The engine bay is so compacted. About a year and a half ago now, almost 2, I had to get the alternator replaced in that. Like on this car and like my dad's truck, the alternator's so easy to replace. It's right there on top. You just have to undo like a few bolts, take the belt off and stuff like that. On the Aztec, you actually have to rotate the engine forward in order to get the room to take the bolts out, which my dad and I just don't have the setup to do that at our house. So I ended up having to pay the mechanic $400 for that. But it's like, I love that car to death, but when it comes to having to fix stuff on it, it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. There's only like a handful of things that's actually easy on that thing, but like on this car, pretty much everything except for a few things is easy. Because the engine bay is just, there's so much more space. So much more space. Nope, 109,000. Car's growing up. Another 3,000 some change, and they'll be getting oil change. I've been running. They recommend running synthetic for this, so change intervals are like ridiculous. What's going on here? Okay, it's turning. Okay. We're now entering Arcadia. crossed over into Carroll County. Just a little history lesson. Carroll County was actually originally split up from Baltimore and Frederick counties back in I believe, 1837. That's when the county was founded. And apparently the biggest reason for them wanting to form the new county was because back then, it didn't have cars and all that, so the biggest complaint was that it just took too long to go to the county centers to do business, like with the court, with the government agencies and stuff like that. Because if you lived in places like here, it was a day's hike to go to Townsend to do what you needed to do at the county seat, and then another day to come back. So you were out like 2-3 days. So then they petitioned, and after a couple of years, they finally won, and they were able to form a new county, and Carroll County was born. Currently on the Hampstead Bypass. It was built in the late 2000s. Back when I was growing up, the main street in Hampstead was always backed up, and it was a nightmare to get through. And so they eventually decided that they wanted to build a bypass. In fact, the bypass had been planned since the 1970s, but Carroll County doesn't get much love, and it took them a while before the state government finally approved it back in the 2000s. And now they're currently redoing the main street in town. They'll revitalize it, bring it back up to its former glory. Put new lights in, new street lamps, and all types of stuff to make it look nice again. That too was a lot to get done, because since it's a state highway, the town can't just go ahead and do it themselves. They have to get the state to do it, and the state kept dragging their feet. And finally, once Governor Hogan got put in office, the project was almost immediately, and because that was one of the things that he ran on, was the redo Maryland roads and restored funding to a lot of projects and stuff. Coming up to the dreaded 482 and Route 30 traffic circle, everyone sucks at because no one knows how to yield to follow the pavement markings. In a few moments, I'll be ending the stream. Gotta run some errands. As long as there's not a line to get into the store. If there's a line, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just gonna go home. But depending on what's going on there, I may or may not end the stream in a few moments. And copier. Fun little fact, 55 is actually the highest speed limit allowed in the state of Maryland on a 2-lane road such as this. If they want to implement a higher speed limit, they have to either have to be on an expressway, or they have to essentially change the law. That motorcyclist just passed people on the right. is apparently in traffic like everyone else. It's gonna be a line. Just looking at it. So this is one of those weird intersections in Maryland. Instead of doing the flashing yellow lights like a lot of other states, we have flashing red lights. So they make you stop before you're allowed to turn. Doesn't look like there's a line, so I guess I'll be ending the stream here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Gotta go and do my shopping. All right, bye.